One thing that I would want to hear a little bit more about is that a number of the schools which are operating at the lowest level, which are variously called low-cost schools, affordable schools, independent schools, all sorts of things, are actually, they seem more like auto rickshaws. Right? They're operating in an informal economy. Right? They violate rules, but they violate rules in a space where there are no rules very clearly available. Right? So there's a huge informal economy that has emerged in school education, particularly in cities. You go to the old city, you'll run into them by the hundreds. And that's precisely the kind of space into which, pretty much like in microfinance, foreign capital has attempted to aggregate microfinance operations. That's what has been attempted even in these informal schooling systems by big NGOs, big multinational corporations. And I don't think that they have really succeeded. Right? They have failed. And that's the most interesting thing about it. Why is it that they have attempted it, but they have failed? So what is going on here? It's not the state, it's not the capital, it's the informal economy that seems to be thriving. Right? It's actually providing employment to hundreds of people, thousands of people, and we need to think a little bit more carefully about that.
So, I think with this question is over. Now I'll request the panelists to, in the light of time, briefly react to the Ritesh. Yeah.
Thanks, Chair. Madam, very insightful comments on East Calcutta wetlands, but probably right to recognize that East Calcutta wetlands were created on demand of people of Calcutta. And it was the first social movement in wetlands, recognized social movement in wetlands, which was successful. And I think the city and the wetlands have gradually disconnected. And once again, the urban sprawl is showing its ugly head, and it needs to be managed properly. So I have nothing more. Sir, on your very insightful questions, the wise use concept of Ramsar Convention is a predecessor of sustainable development concept, which tried to bring in a frame use as well as conservation in a single frame. But obviously over long periods coming from a developed world, it has lost its steam, and the referencing in the world is very weak. The other concept that we are trying to push it is a nested socio-ecological systems concept in wetland management planning, wherein the sectoral integration concepts bring to fore. But again, there is an academic challenge to it, and there is an application challenge to it. So I would welcome any collaborative effort in this direction.
Dr. Reddy.
Thank you very much, sir. There are three questions addressed to me, but I do not know whether I could be able to adequately answer them, but let me attempt it. Administrative structure, why is that the local bodies could not able to take full hold in the education sector, particularly after SSA? One thing is that there is unevenness in the role of rural municipalities. Say, for example, I do not know many states, but there is very unevenness. Say, take even Andhra Pradesh, which I am full aware of it. Say, for within Andhra Pradesh, that residual Andhra Pradesh has got local bodies, urban schools under the local bodies. When it comes to Telangana, it is the state government. No urban local body has any role in urban schools located in urban areas. Maybe this is the case in other cities also. So the role assigned to rural local bodies is uneven across different states, and therefore they could not have a foothold. And there are multiplicity of jurisdiction over schools also. Say, for example, in Delhi, NDMC and Delhi municipality corporation, there are multiple schools and with multiple. And third thing is that perhaps it is the MHRD vision is that urban is okay, that somehow it's good. This is the perception. So in urban areas, there is no problem. Everybody is attending the school and everybody is performing. And therefore, we need not have to look into all out of school children are located only in rural areas. This kind of perception might have led this kind of thing. Perhaps it is time to demolish this perception and say that yes, urban poor are indeed attending private schools. Say, despite all this salabala about private schools, only 50% of urban children are attending private schools. Remaining 50% are still in the government schools only. Therefore, we'll have to take care of that. That's number one. Number two, sir, as you have rightly pointed, it is the privatization. If you go to any school in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, you will find a single Reddy in any school. But if you go to Gujarat, you'll find lots of Patels in their roles. I visited personally both the schools. How is it that happened? And I asked, why you don't have any private school? They said there is no private school in their locality. So the expansion of private schools in Andhra Pradesh is quite extensive. Therefore, all complete segregation has taken place. All the roles, you take the roles, because in Andhra Pradesh, Reddy by caste, you get to know. You look at the rules, you will find, even if it is a village, is Reddy dominated. But in Gujarat, so it is the private sectors, emergence of private sector that is segregating the children. I'm skeptical, sir. Really, we could able to do anything. And I don't know whether that constitutes an answer, but I think we have gone too far in the wrong direction, and to my mind, it's difficult to reverse it. I don't know, whatever that means. The third thing, sir, as you have rightly pointed out, it is informalization. These informal rules are actually letting the children to move from one school to another school because the fee paid is very low, and many a times children go to school without paying, not exactly without paying. I'm kind of loan. Say, for example, after 3 months, 4 months, whenever I get money, I'll give you the money. These kind of informal arrangements are enabling the poor children to go to these schools. And moving, say, for example, after 3 months, you just jump to another school.
Yeah.
It's possible without paying anything. So in fact, Dr. Prajesh Srivastava said it is a kind of quasi institutional framework that is helping movement from one school to another school. So this is actually taking, but after coming into force this RTA, because there is a huge penalties are levied if you are an unrecognized school, the phenomenon of unrecognized school seems to have gone down, but still in our DICE data there are 30,000 schools unrecognized even today, but that data confines to only 5 states. So still we have 30,000 schools unrecognized. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the question, sir. Sir, I actually did not mention that it has to be dissociated from work, but I was trying to say how the framework to understand informality has to incorporate work and go beyond that as well. And the examples when I gave was one for example, the vendor I was talking about. So how she was also homeless and how her kids were also not going to a proper school. So they're like, there's this overlap which I was trying to establish. And with respect to the rickshaw pullers also, I told that how they were migrants and then they were again staying in informal settlements which could be then considered as encroachments, and hence they did not have documentation. So this is like a circular process. And one thing which I could not mention was that to avoid the theft of the rickshaws that they obtain, they often have to sleep on that overnight. So this is how informality of work probably gives rise to how informal lives are actually. So that kind of an overlap was what I was trying to highlight. And on the sense of informal sector as a homogenized category, again, what I was trying to, maybe I couldn't say that very clearly, was that one cannot neatly actually substitute these categories, calling it illegal or at the same time unregulated or untaxed, for example. Then there's another example how in Zimbabwe home-based work is actually taxed. So or probably they might get organized and might need not be unorganized in the conventional sense. So those were some kind of clarifications that I was trying to make. Thank you, sir.
With this, we are coming to the close of this session. And in the light of saving time, I am not going to make any observations, except to thank the presenter of papers who have done excellent job, and they have stuck to the time schedule. And to all those who have raised questions and made comments, and to all of you for having patient hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Gill and all the speakers. You all are requested to join for the tea.